I went to this amazing restaurant in New York City called Del Posto. It's super expensive, but it was a special occasion and I wanted to reward myself. After inhaling their salad, the GM of the restaurant asked me what I thought. So I responded with my inside voice. Dude, that was amazing. I love the dressing. Yeah, so I yelled it, whatever. He laughed and said, the chef and I talked about bottling that dressing, but then we decided against it. It was going to cost $150 a bottle. $150 for salad dressing? I'm Derek Halpern, the founder of Social Triggers, and in this video, I'm going to show you why charging $150 for dressing isn't insane. It's genius. I'll also reveal the 7 tips for virality you can use to get people to share your content and talk about you and your business. Here's a secret. If you want people to talk about you and what you do, then you've got to give them something worth talking about. And let me tell you, that salad dressing at Del Posto was so delicious, it made my night. Seriously. But usually the quality of a product or service isn't enough to get people talking about it. And today, when competition is steep, you need to get people to spread the word about you and what you do because it expands your reach and builds your credibility. That's why when the GM at Del Posto told me that they were thinking of selling that salad dressing for $150 a bottle, I thought, that's genius. Why? Because it gives people something to talk about. Because it gets people to say, $150 for salad dressing, ridiculous. But it's so worth it. That's the key. When you want people to talk about what you do, you've got to give them something they can easily talk about with their friends. And guess what? That's exactly what they'll do. They'll talk about you with their friends. That's how real word of mouth works. We're all dying for anything to talk about with our friends. So the question is, what other than $150 dressing do people want to talk about? Well, I've got 7 tips for getting people to spread the word about you. First, people talk about and share things they remember. There's research that suggests people are more apt to talk about something if they remember to talk about it. Obviously, you can't talk about something if you don't remember it, right? I mean, who could forget $150 for salad dressing? I ran a little experiment to further prove this point. I asked my Facebook following a simple question. I'm running an experiment. I've released a lot of videos on Social Triggers. What's one video that pops into your head right now? I'm doing a memory test and I'm curious to see what video is at the top of everyone's mind. And what happened? Most people referenced the $310 haircut video. And it was already months old by that point. So why did they reference that one? People kept talking about the $310 haircut video for the same reason I want to keep talking about the $150 salad dressing. Yes, it's a good video. But people talked about it because it was memorable. It's not common for a man to spend $310 on a haircut after all. So how can you make sure you and what you do is memorable? You want to zig when others zag. You want to charge high prices when others charge low prices. You want to focus on customer service when others ignore it. Or just offer anything that's different from your competition, whether it's different in price, customer experience, or anything. And that leads me to the second tip for getting people to spread the word. People talk about and share things that matter. Websites like Upworthy didn't get popular just because of those crazy headlines. Headlines like, facts about women that make it hard to believe we're living in the 21st century. In 10 years, these 10 animals could be as extinct as the dinosaurs. If this video makes you uncomfortable, then you make me uncomfortable. In fact, even Upworthy has explained that the real reason their stuff goes viral is because they talk about things that matter to people. Things like healthcare, marriage equality, the environment, gender equality. And while I think that oversimplifies it, I believe they're right. To really nail this home, I look at my friend Vonnie Harry from Food Babe. Over the last year, her website skyrocketed to become one of the top blogs in the food space. How did she do it? She's exposing the fact that there are big companies who are poisoning Americans, but they're not poisoning people in other countries. She's also exposing what poisons the food industry is selling to us, and she isn't afraid to tell the truth. And guess what? That matters to us, especially since we're now a health-conscious culture. So here's what you need to remember. If you want people to talk about and share what you do, little tricks and tactics may work, but in the end, you've got to talk about something that matters to people. Okay, tip number 3. People talk about and share things that deliver practical value. I've talked about this before in a post about creating viral content, but it's worth mentioning again here. New York Times bestselling author Jonah Berger ran a research experiment with Catherine Milkman, and they discovered that people are more likely to talk about things that have practical value in their lives. And in my experience, this is 100% true. Next to the $310 haircut video, one of the most referenced techniques I've ever shared is the "what are you struggling with" technique. If you're unfamiliar with it, just Google "what are you struggling with Derek Halpern." You'll love it. Why is this one of my most referenced techniques? Because when people learned about this, they immediately implemented it in their business. They saw the power, they knew it was easy to implement, and they did it. And what happened? They just started getting results from it. Those results made people talk about it even more. Why? Because it's insanely practical, easy to implement, and delivers results. Bro, I'm still thinking about that salad dressing. I'm ready to buy a case of that stuff. Well, that's a good point, and it brings me to my fourth tip about getting people to talk about you and your business. But first, get out of here. I'm trying to make a video. Okay, now, tip number 4. People talk about and share things that project who they want to be to their friends. As cynical as it sounds, it's true. People want to be perceived a certain way, so they talk about and share things that add to the way they want to be perceived. For example, my friend Ryan Holiday talks about something called outrage porn. If you're unfamiliar with this term, here's a short of it. Have you ever seen the internet get up in arms about something so stupid? That's because people like to be outraged about things they think they should be outraged about. And they share it because they want other people to know, I'm the type of person to be outraged by this injustice. And I use air quotes when I said injustice because it's never about the injustice. It's always about how people want others to perceive them. I've also seen people share those donate to this charity style Twitter posts or blog posts, even if they personally never donated to the charity. Why? Because they want to be perceived as someone who cares about and donates to charity. So what does this have to do with you and your business? Well, don't expect people to share things that detract from how they want to be perceived. For example, D-Money would never share an article like, why you should quit spending in excess and save instead. Okay, on to tip number 5. People love to talk about and share controversial things. You're probably thinking, that's obvious, but let me make this clear. People won't share anything that's controversial. Some controversy inhibits sharing, while other controversy promotes it. So what's the difference? For this, let's refer back to the godfather of virality, Jonah Berger. He helped Zoe Chen conduct a study about controversy and virality. Here's what they found. People like to fight about dumb things, not important things. I'm definitely oversimplifying this here, but they discovered that things with moderate levels of controversy were a lot more viral than high levels of controversy. Why? Because when controversy was high, it made people feel uncomfortable. And people don't like to share things that make them feel uncomfortable, but they love to share things that don't make them feel uncomfortable. For example, there was a viral Facebook post of an image of 2 rolls of toilet paper. One roll had the toilet paper going over the top with the word right below it, and the other roll had the toilet paper going underneath with the word wrong below it. And it went viral because people loved arguing about it and were convinced that their way was the right way. Me, you could find my toilet paper all over the floor. By the way, if you want to see more pictures like this, you should follow me on Instagram. Now, another example. When I first launched Social Triggers, I kicked it off with an article called The Content is King Myth Debunked. Long story short, I had research to prove that content isn't king, design is king. And my audience loved fighting about it. It got shared a bunch, and in fact, it still gets shared today because people like to fight about dumb things. And this leads me to my next tip. People talk about and share things that other people talk about and share. I read a study that proved this. When people like a Facebook post, their friends are more likely to like the same post. Why? Because of social validation. This has been known forever. When people don't know how to act, they look to others around them, including their friends, for how they should act. This reminds me of this one time I'm sitting in a coffee shop, the fire alarm went off. It was loud, scary, but nobody moved. Instead, I noticed everyone, myself included, looking around at everyone else to see how we should act. So naturally, I got up and screamed. Ah! Okay, maybe I didn't do that, but the bottom line is this. When people are looking for what to do, they look to their peers to give them a clue. And when it comes to what people talk about and share, they are more likely to talk about something their friends talk about. This kind of plays off what I shared earlier, that people talk about and share things that project who they want to be to their friends. But there's a slight difference. This instead focuses on social proof. Now, what's this have to do with you? When you want people to talk about your stuff, and you've got those little Twitter buttons or like buttons on your blog posts, if they show the number 0, maybe you shouldn't show those buttons. It's gonna result in what's known as negative social engagement, and it may entice people to not talk about you because no one else is talking about you. As a matter of fact, if you're just getting started and you have no traffic, it might be in your best interest to have no share buttons at all. Or if you do have share buttons, don't show a number on them. And now for my last tip. People talk about and share things that entertain them. A friend of mine, Alex, runs a pet food company called PetFlow. Earlier this year, they launched a blog, and it quickly became a blog that received more than 6 million visitors each day. Yeah, 6 million. How did they do it? They post videos that entertain people. That means they post funny videos about dogs, cats, and grandmas, things like that. And then they share it with their readers, and naturally, it goes viral. All because they post entertaining videos. Now, what's this have to do with you? Well, think about the haircut video for a second. In that video, I introduced D-Money for the first time, and he made it rain money. It's about time you invested in yourself. That's pretty funny, as is my commentary on that ridiculous haircut. So not only was that haircut memorable, it was also entertaining, which also explains why people shared it and remember it. Or look at this video. Yes, I'm giving some great tips on how to get people to talk about you and what you do, but I'm also trying to be a little entertaining.
You're not funny, Derek!
And that's it for this video. To recap, people talk about and share things they remember. People talk about and share things that matter. People talk about and share things that deliver practical value. People talk about and share things that project who they want to be to their friends. People talk about and share controversial things. People talk about and share things that other people talk about and share. And finally, people talk about and share things that entertain them. And that's it. Or, well, that's not all of it. $150 for salad dressing? Now that's it. Because that's the bonus tip for today's video. People remember things that get repeated. And people share things they remember. Now let me ask you this. What was your biggest takeaway from this video? Which tip for getting people to spread the word are you most excited to use? Leave a comment and let me know. Also, if you know anyone who could benefit from this video, make sure you share it. You'll be helping them out and me out too. And if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and get on the email list. I release new videos each week where I share insanely practical tips for entrepreneurs and business owners who are looking to get ahead in business and life. One day, if I ever give up this, I'll be an eyebrow model. Do we need to pull in some dumb pictures of myself from Instagram right now? Ah! It's my show.